Today I'm going to be reacting to your Raider hot takes. This is where I give you guys a platform to voice your thoughts, whether good, bad, or anything in between. So if you guys want to be featured on the next episode, then make sure to be following me at Simone Raider on Instagram, because that's where I'm going to be asking you guys for your Raider hot takes. As always, if this is the very first time you guys are coming across this channel and you love daily Raider content, then hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon much to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this. We are close to that 50K goal, so if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. With that being said, let's get started with your Raider hot takes. DeCamerion Richardson will be our most improved player in Pete Carroll's system. Him and Jacorian will be our future CB1 and CB2 going into the next couple of years without a question. All right, I love the optimism here. DeCamerion Richardson, I know last season didn't really play up to his best. It was his rookie season, and he did miss some time early on with a hamstring injury. But when he did go in and play, he just wasn't that guy. Now, I know that there's a lot of upside with DeCamerion, especially coming out of the draft. A lot of people were excited about him, and I do see some potential in that. But I seen him struggle more than him actually doing good on the field, especially when I was at the games. I could possibly be wrong, because we know Pete Carroll's track history with cornerbacks, and he could bring the best out of a lot of these guys. And if DeCamerion Richardson is a guy that can go out and prove himself, then we'll see him more on the field this upcoming season. Now, as far as Jacorian Bennett, I for sure think he's going to be one of our top cornerbacks. I just feel like we're just going to have to pair him up with somebody else. I don't think that Richardson is going to be the guy that could be a CB2 right behind Jacorian Bennett, but whether we go into the draft, whether we pick up somebody in free agency, as of right now, Asante Samuels is still available, and I would love to have him in the silver and black. But as far as your take, though, I can definitely see Jacorian being one of our top cornerbacks. I just don't see the same with Richardson. 11-6 if healthy, surprise team of the AFC. Defense is going to be top 10 in the NFL. Run game is key to success, not Geno's arm. And Bowers gets 100 receptions. Now, there's a lot going on in here, and 11-6, if everybody's healthy, I can definitely see. I wouldn't want to predict it this year. I think when I do my schedule prediction, it's not going to be that high. I know the last couple of years I've always had the team winning 10 to 12 games every year, and then we always get disappointed when the season actually starts. But a lot can happen. Anything can happen in the NFL. If we do have a successful season like that, it definitely would be surprising, especially a team that not a lot of people are expecting to go out and win. Now, I know Pete Carroll has come out and said and talked about it countless of times that this team is going to be winning right now. They're looking to turn the ship around right now. A win now team. And with the pieces that we did bring in free agency, it's kind of hard to see that. We'll just have to see what we do in the NFL draft. I know one of the biggest moves was getting Geno, and I know you're saying that the success is going to come off the running game, and that definitely is going to be the key for this offense, and I expect it to be. That's why I feel like a lot of people want Ashton Jeanty in the draft, because he's the clear-cut #1 running back going into this year's draft. But whoever the Raiders decide to bring in at the running back position, we're going to definitely have to depend on the running game. But as far as Brock Bowers, I could definitely see him getting 100 receptions this season. Geno struggles in the first 4 games, but picks it up to get us above 500. However, we missed the playoffs due to losing in our division still. Okay, I mean, coming out the gates, man, Geno Smith, if he was to struggle in the first 4 games, I'm sure the Raidernation is already going to turn on him. They're going to want whoever the rookie quarterback is going to be, or they're going to want AOC to go in and pick things up. But if Geno does struggle early on, then it's going to be a big problem. For me, of course, I want the Raiders to go to the playoffs, and I feel like the season is lost if we don't go into the playoffs. The Raiders have to go to the playoffs this year if we want to show some type of improvement. And Geno Smith, if he's not going to be the guy to get it done, then like I said, we better have hope that we went out and drafted somebody that could take over halfway through the season, because I don't see the team sticking with Geno if he does bad in those first 4 games. I guess depending on how bad he does, we'll have to see. But if we do get above 500 and we look competitive and we still miss the playoffs, I'm sure that the Raider Nation would be a little bit happier than we were last season. I mean, anything can be better than what happened last season. But for me, it's playoff or bust this upcoming season. Whether it's Geno Smith, whether it's one of the guys that we draft, or whether it's AOC, we have to make the playoffs, and we got to put the best player on the field. AOC beats Geno Smith for the starting quarterback position. Man, what's up with all the negativity surrounding Geno Smith, man? I guess it's not a really good start, but I mean, if AOC does beat out Geno Smith in training camp, then that's a good thing for the Raiders, because if AOC, with all the competition that he's had to deal with since being drafted, I mean, going into this offseason, nobody's even asking about how AOC feels right now. We're just thinking about Geno Smith and what other quarterback that we can bring into the QB room. But we still got a young quarterback in AOC that has shown a lot of promise here and there. I'm not really high on AOC, and I don't think that he could be the franchise guy for us. But if some way, somehow he does beat out Geno Smith, that means that he is balling out in training camp. This team right now is built around Geno Smith because we traded for him. He's got a lot of rapport with Pete Carroll. But if Pete Carroll makes that move and starts AOC over Geno Smith, like I said, that means AOC is doing something right. And maybe that's a good thing for the Raiders. But I highly doubt that we'll see AOC start week 1. We get Gentry and Milroe, get our O-line right, get our defense back on track. Watch out for this team. Man, Gentry and Milroe is one of my favorite quarterbacks, especially after his pro day that he had at Alabama, running what, a 4.3? A 4.340 for a quarterback. It just shows his athleticism. Now, he's a raw quarterback, and I don't expect him to start year 1 for any team, let alone the Raiders. But if he was to come over here, especially under Chip Kelly's system, he's the perfect quarterback. Him and Jackson Dart, I would say, to run this offense. But you got to give him some time. And if the Raiders were to draft him in the second round, I think that would be good I would be happy with that. And that's where I see his value being at. Now, as far as Ashton Gentry, great running back. And I feel like he could be a really good running back in the NFL. Who knows if he's going to be generational like a lot of these other people want to say, but he is a really good running back, and going into this draft, he is the #1 running back. With that said, though, I've been opposed to getting Gentry with the #6 pick, and I'm going to keep saying it. I'm not going to be mad if the Raiders draft him, and I don't think that he's a bad player. I just rather go in a different direction. Hypothetically, if we go with the scenario that you said, if we get Gentry and Milroe, I think those are slam dunk picks for the first 2 picks. Of course, we got to get the O-line right. We just got to draft a little bit more depth and maybe get one of the top offensive linemen in this year's draft, maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round. And if the defense can get back on track, of course, under Patrick Graham, and if everybody is healthy, I can see this team really doing great this year. I am one of those optimistic fans that always wishes for the best and hopes for the best and looks forward to the best. And then, you know, my confidence and, you know, my mental starts getting shot down when the season actually starts. But overall, I don't think that this is a bad haul for the Raiders. And if we were to get those 2 guys, I'd be totally fine with it. We are not drafting Shedeur Sanders. Now, there's been a lot of speculations and reports and rumors going around that the Raiders still want to get a quarterback in the 1st round. And one guy that they're really intrigued with, especially Mark Davis, is Shedeur Sanders. And if he was sitting there at #6, I do feel like the Raiders will draft him, and there is a possibility that Shedeur Sanders can drop. But if the Raiders were to pass on him and move forward and not draft Shedeur Sanders, that means that they're looking at another quarterback that they could get later, or they're totally fine with what we have in the building. But if draft day is to come and we still have just AOC and Geno Smith, then I'll have to question why the Raiders would pass on Shedeur Sanders. Now, I don't think it's the end-all be-all if we do pass up on Shedeur Sanders, but I just feel like he could be the future for the Raiders. There's a lot of other quarterbacks that we could get later on in the draft, and I'd be totally fine with it. I know I recently talked about Jalen Milroe. There's Jackson Dart. Will Howard's another name that's been thrown around there. Dylan Gabriel. So it is what it is. As long as the Raiders come out of the draft with a young quarterback, I'm totally fine with it. Trade back and get Dart late 1st and hopefully have 2 early 2nd rounders. Getting Jackson Dart in the 1st round, I mean, Jackson Dart is one of those top quarterbacks and one of my favorite quarterbacks in this year's draft. And if we were to get him somewhere in the late 1st round, I don't think that's a bad move for the Raiders. If that's a quarterback that you feel like could be the future of this team, you get that and you still get another 2nd rounder in return for trading back, I think that'd be great for the Raiders. And there's going to be so many great players that fall into the 2nd round that not a lot of people are expecting. It happens every single year. Every year that I've covered the draft, I've seen it over and over again. And the 2nd round, I feel like, to me, is just as important as the 1st round. So if we could get a 2nd round in return for moving back, I think that'd be a huge win for the Raiders. And you can go address other positions, whether you want to go get another running back, a running back and an offensive lineman, you want to go get a wide receiver and a running back. There's just so many different scenarios, so many different options for the Raiders. So for me, that'd be a win-win for the Raiders if they're able to trade back and acquire more picks, especially in the 2nd round. Hot take, Raiders sweep the West and still somehow only finish 2nd in the division. They will win the wild card game against the Ravens and get destroyed in the divisional round against the Bills. Actually, not that far out of the realm of possibility. I love the optimism there, and I love, if this was to happen, I'd be totally happy. Just the fact that we would make the playoffs, let alone sweep the West, the AFC West, and beat every single team. I'm totally fine with finishing 2nd in the division if we can brag and say that we whooped everybody's candy ass. The Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Chargers. My neck and my back. But to say that we'll make the playoffs and beat the Ravens in the 1st round, I'll take it. that's a win for the Raiders. Even if we don't make the Super Bowl, if we go into the playoffs and we win, that'll get the whole Raider Nation rejuvenated and just happy for something positive. So with that said, I'm totally fine losing to the Bills. That's fine. I mean, I wouldn't be fine, but hey, to see how far that we would go, especially for this hot take, I can't be mad at it. But Raider Nation, man, let me know your thoughts on all the hot takes today. What hot takes do you guys have? Let me know down in the comments below. Until the next one, this is your boy Simone Raider, and your boy is, yeah.